Hello, everyone. Our special guest today is Kris Van Damme. He's an actor, writer, director, and producer, and he gives us insight on what it was like growing up in the industry as Jean Claude Van Damme's son and starting a career of his own. Enjoy. You grew up around some of the most iconic films. From your experience on being that uncredited on Universal Soldier as a kid, working your way all the way through your movies up to recent like Mexicali, what are some things that kind of helped you go, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to do this with my life?
It really got into me on the set of, I think it was Lionheart. I was running around with Sheldon Lettich's kids, and Micheline was in the movie. She played, I think, someone that my father kind of saw and related to, or it was a flashback. I forgive me. I was running through the sets, and I was putting myself in these worlds automatically because of my mind was always a very creative type. So I kind of just lost myself in that, immersed myself in that reality, which was just wood and aluminum at the time. But it made me feel like this could be a reality of some kind, and so acting became a secondary nature that became a first love. That's how I should have worded it, but it grew quick on me. And I explored soon. I soon after started to develop, ideas, stories, and then therefore got into writing and directing and all that. So
Interesting. And that's a different muscle too, right? You got your actor side and then your actor brain, and then you got your writer director side. But I think a key thing is the imagination thing. Like that's what like actually since we last talked, you're one of the guys who inspired me too. I became a filmmaker myself. And
great.
it's one of those things where it's like I have no really good excuses not to do this. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, what else? If you feel connected to something in life, you should look into it, study it, pursue it, see if it's for you. But when you're really in tune with yourself, as my father used to say a lot, and he still does, and he's right. When you're aware of yourself and aware of your surroundings and your life and all this and the people around you, you tend to surf through life a bit more, I don't want to say smoothly, but adequately, I think it would be. You tend to understand what's good for you and what's good for the people around you, of course, caring about the people and surroundings around you. But when you connect your soul to your awareness and your purpose, everything kind of just falls into play because you're clear to know where to go. It's a very interesting thing that I've been doing, and it really is just self-awareness. There's no secret behind it. It's just, do I like this? Does this connect with me? Am I open to that bandwidth to receive that connection from life, I guess, and here we are making movies. But yeah, it's a different muscle. Directing and acting is a different muscle. I just finished, I'm in post-production now, a Star Wars fan film that's coming out hopefully next year for Star Wars Celebration. It's called Star Wars The Grey Force Duel on Statera, Stattera. You can look it up in Instagram and share the links if you wish. It's a Dark Jedi story it's a big story. I had a dream one night, I woke up, I wrote it, and there's the writing muscle came into fruition, and it took me about, I would say, a good year to write the whole project. And then I chose one moment in the project to film because I don't have $200 million, right? But it looks very close to very, very high number. I've been quoted by producers what they think it costs, and it costs not even a fraction of that, which is what our goal is. As me and my production team, my DP, my sound designer, people who have worked on actual Star Wars films have told me it looks and feels more adequate to the old school Star Wars than the new school stuff, which I'm not a big fan of.
I'm with you, brother.
And I follow guys like Star Wars Theory, Nia, and all those guys, and I love listening to his podcasts, his YouTube, reviews and all that. And I'm hoping that we can one day cross collaborate. But the directing and writing came to me naturally, dude. And so I've always been someone to, when I put together a project, I've always been someone to kind of, I don't want to say take over the show. No one ever takes over the show. Everybody has a part to do, and that's what makes, dream work make the teamwork, teamwork make the dream work, excuse me. And I believe in that a lot because when you let go of your ego, which I used to have in my early 20s, and it got me nowhere. When you let go of that ego, you see clearer and you start to grow. And then people start to, and here's a double-edged sword, they start to grow attracted to you, feel comfortable with you, trust you, and then depend on you. And then the ego can arise again. And so you have to constantly keep it at bay. And as an actor, you receive a lot of praise if you do something that, sets the bar, I guess, so to speak, in this industry. Or if you do something as a director, you're sought after. You have to always stay humble to the fact that you're a conduit to this creative source that's flowing through you, but you're capable because you're willing. And so, therefore, as a filmmaker yourself, you must always open your funnel radar a little more to receive and try to put all your eggs in the right baskets and follow that what that's telling you in here. So, yeah, I like to flex between writing, directing, and acting. I really enjoy all three.
That's an amazing way to put it. And do you feel starting out on the acting side of things that helped you with your writing and directing side, or do you feel that was always kind of like equal in your brain, like always kind of volleying back and forth in concept?
It's I think it all helps each department. I think each department helps fuel the other, especially if you're on a bandwidth that is able to toggle between them, you know. And some people can. Some people are very good,
Mm.
like Mel Gibson, very good at toggling between writing, directing, producing, even, of course, acting. Sylvester Stallone's another beast there. My father has done it himself, very, very talented at it. And, I've adopted that gene, and it just came to me naturally. Not to say, oh, he's in the industry, it's easy for him. A lot of people think that, and they don't know. It's very hard. The industry is a very toxic place. It's a
Yeah.
very self-destructive place. It's if you don't have the cast iron skillet to cook this meal, you need to be ready to trust what you believe in and pursue that, because for every one person there's a million viewers or more. There is. We know we all wake up in the morning, we all have our relatability routines, and we all do the same thing. And then we put on our masks and go into the world and try to communicate with each other. When we can just be ourselves, of course,
Mm. Yeah.
kind to society, then the connection is easier. And you go back to like 1970, well, 1983 or 82, whatever, early 80s, late 70s, mid 70s, to old school cinema. Even in the 90s, cinema was great, and my father's movies and more.
Yeah.
And you bring back that value system of understanding. There was less, I mean, there's always been ego, but there was less political agendas. There was less
Mm. Yeah.
mass control. You know how that is. It's nasty how they're just making everything a shell that looks like something you once knew, but it oozes something new.
Yeah. That's great. That's a great way to word it. And you have
Yeah.
a very interesting perspective on the side of things too, because you put us in your shoes. Like you grew up, like maybe at what point did you realize, hey, my dad's he's not a normal dad. He's this world action star. And for you, breaking into the business, so to speak, because you're playing on set, you got your own creativity going, but like there's this outside source when you start actually getting into it. It wasn't easy for you.
Yeah, 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 of course. It brought me through a lot of different chapters of my life. So, being the son of a celebrity of any kind could be
Yeah.
really the celebrity of the block, or it could be me, or Elon Musk's, children. It always comes with baggage in terms of the belittle-minded people, God bless them, that don't seem to surf on that level of you and I and people viewing this channel. I'm sure a lot of them are people with, their head screwed on, right? They don't think about what it's like to be in someone's shoes. They don't put themselves in that perspective. And the way you asked the question is true. I mean, put us in your shoes. And well, I had a father, and he was there. Sometimes he wasn't, and it was because he was working, and so our relationship was. But he was working very hard. So as I grew older, I understood his distance was for a reason. It's why we can eat, why we can sleep under a roof, why we can do all these things. He suffered with my mother before that to make it, and now he's giving us the benefit of his hard-earned work. And of course he had his own life and his own trials and his roller coaster, and we know that. But as a son, it was difficult because I would never have those sit downs. It was very rare. Probably in my life, maybe 10 times, and I'm 39, where I would sit down and have a decent day or conversation with my father. We've had them, but they're very rare. And because of that that distance in the childhood time, it made our relationship very intricate to rebuild, you know. And so it was like a spider web that was half built. You know, storm came in and blew some of the trendles away, and then the spiders on one side, the other one, and he's trying to rebuild to connect. So it's kind of because there was a symmetry, and before now there's an asymmetry to the web building. And so building back with my father in a relationship, our one love is movies. So we utilize this pipeline to communicate, and then from there, hopefully, that can guide us to making a film together. We've had many close uh, opportunities to work together where I direct him in an action film, for example. And I know the world would love to see this because they ask for it. And we've had a lot of producers come through, and a lot of other artists come through that just want to, they don't want us to do what we do the way we do it. And so the project never happens. And it's unfortunate because some of these projects were absolutely phenomenal. After seeing Ronan Day Lewis be supported by his father on
Oh, yes.
Anemone,
Yeah.
fantastic film. I told my father, and I said, Dad, we should do something together. He loved the idea. He said, let's do it. So we found a producer, and I won't share any names, and things were going great for about a year. And then some things fell a bit sour due to passion and stuff like this. And no, that's normal. It's part of the process of making a script and a movie because you have clashes of interest. But a bit of pride and a bit of ego from not my father and not me, another person in the group, kind of wedged themselves between like a very
Oh,
talented chess player. From what I understand, that's what had transpired. I could be completely misunderstanding the situation, but hence, regardless to the details, for that matter, I am, you know, still doing my best to involve him. So I wanted to bring him on some of my passion projects, which hopefully he will be available to do that, and he said he wants to. So, and it's cool because then people see my father in these passion projects based on larger franchises, and they're like, why isn't he in the real one? It comes down to that relatability factor. You know, you go on YouTube, you click, let's say for example, Star Wars fan film. You look through like 10 of them, and one of them is mine, and you say you like it. Let's say you enjoy it, and then at the end of the epilogue, you see someone that you would never suspect it. What? Oh my
yeah,
god, that's
right.
really cool. You know, and so then people go, why isn't he? What's wrong with Disney? Why aren't they? What the fuck is wrong with our world and
Yeah.
Dominoes and all that whole thing? And we can sideline later. But growing up in school with my pops and all that, and you know, seeing him on the news, you know, there were like positive things, there were negative things, there were paparazzi things, there was newspapers.
That's got to be hard, too. I mean,
Yeah, you know, kids they pick on you, but it makes you strong. You know, they pick on you. And so I fended for myself a lot. I had very little friends in school. I would be beat up by bullies, and I'd beat them up after. And you know, it was just, you know, it's kids. It's what we do.
right.
But it made me strong. You know, and in the sense of how to get through life. And so now I meet these guys, and they're like, "I'm so sorry, dude." I'm like, "It's fine. It's what it is." And what are you doing these days? Oh, dude, I can't believe I had so many insecurities, and I took it out on you. And no, it's cool. And like, how's your family? And these people have grown to be beautiful people, you know. So it's just part of life. But the media is the big one. That's the one that you know they try to create things, you know,
Talk
just
about
like
wedging, you know.
you talk about wedging, dude. Literally, like producers and media and agents and all those people, they try to put their 2 cents into it, and it's literally not to have anything grow. It's literally just to say something because hey, my shit stinks as well, you know,
Right.
and you should smell it, you know. And it's like so it's dealing with all that mostly, but the relationship between my father and I, regardless to our distances, is fairly solid. And you know, he trained me in martial arts. That was a very good
Yeah.
grounding for me. I continue to this day.
That
Very,
and
very.
fitness, I think we talked about last night. Martial arts
Yes,
and
yes, my
fitness. Yeah.
mother. Yeah, my mother as well. My mother trained my father in fitness a lot because she was successful before he was,
Right.
and then she, you know, she basically sacrificed her career cold turkey with 2 kids to you know support my father's, and it was a support system back and forth because obviously they still support one another,
Hmm.
and we're all still here together, but. It was a tough time, you know, and tough in terms of being a kid tough, not in terms
Mm.
of like we're in a country full of war tough. That's
Right.
I always think about that, and I'm like, why am I complaining? I got a little bit of
Right.
ringing in the ear.
It's
That's it, you know.
perspective. Yeah.
You know, yeah, exactly. And to do that, I think is the key. But it's been all right, man. I mean, like you know, there were times when I got, and this is very important for people to know. There were times in my teens and my 20s, as we all do. There were
Mm.
times when I was so fed up with. his likeness and his shadow and all this, that I just kind of quit film. I was going down a
Oh.
path of self-destruction and drinking a lot, and I never did any drugs. Never did that, because I think it's because I saw him do it and I didn't want to go through that.
Oh.
Never did any of that, but
Yeah.
I explored that very long tunnel to hell, and I took the stairs back up because I knew it wasn't a good place to be. I would try test my survival in life basically on my bike, other things,
Yeah.
and try to see if this was really something that I'm meant to be here, that level, and gained a lot of weight. What I was never fat, but just kind of depressed weight, water
Depressed weight.
retention.
Yeah.
Didn't train. And if I did, it was really like, it was 20 minutes in the gym, very heavy, and I left just to keep the pump, and it's all nonsense. So after that cycle of my life, I decided to sit down and write something that, like, okay, look, all these movies that come my way, all these ridiculous offers that come my way, they're all crap, right? So we have to do one of them. So I do a few. But one day I said, why don't I just do my own thing? Because I can survive. I know what to tell the world, how to tell the world. And why don't I give myself the chance and respect for them to hear it? And so I decided, to work on these two passion projects I'm doing now, and that's been the majority of my 30s. So I know it's like, what, 10 years, 7 years, 6 years on a passion project, but that's what it takes.
That's what it takes. I mean, people think you talk to these people like, "Oh, man, this movie is amazing," and it's like, yeah, it took them like 5 years to even develop it, let alone get people backing it. Maybe let's go into that because I'm not sure if this is the same film you were discussing the last time we talked. I think we talked like 2021. It's been a while.
Wow. Wow, man.
But you have something coming up, Collectors: The Uprising. I'm not sure if that's the same
Oh,
project.
yeah, we're talking a while back, bro.
Yeah.
Collectors, The Uprising, that was a great science fiction. My friend and partner on the project, Trevor Seeley, and I were working on it. I would love to continue that. I think maybe after these two passion projects, I might reach back out to him and say, hey, buddy, are you interested to continue? Because we needed to raise a certain amount of capital in order to get that made. But that was back in those years when technology wasn't as forgiving, and budgets were a bit different. The system was different. So that's a sci-fi project I developed with Trevor back in like the early, I would say around 20, before 2020. And then we got into IMDb and all that because we had some interest from distribution deals and investors. And we were targeted to raise at the time like $12 million for it. And we were close. And these things, they're,
Yeah.
well, who's your main talent? Well, you have a conglomerate of talent and all this. But to take Collectors and put it on a shelf for now, and to actually put another project that I would like to promote here with you
Yeah.
and talk to you about, is with a producing partner and good friend of mine right now, Rich Manley. He's actually the guy in the painting my mother painted of the poster of Star Wars there. And I'm there too, you just can't see it.
Okay.
There we go.
There we go.
But I'll leave it like that for the viewers. But basically, Rich is an amazing magician and adventurer and actor. He's a fantastic actor. He quit acting because he hates the industry, and I brought him back into it with the Star Wars film. And so Rich has this great project called Falling Cards. It's a fantastic project. It's a post-apocalyptic setting, but it's like Rush Hour meets Mad Max meets Children of Men. It's a very interesting
Yeah, that is interesting.
mix. And so I play his brother named Enlil in it, and we're developing it, and he shot some of it back in like 2013 with not the best team. We're trying to figure out a way to retrofit the footage so it marries the new stuff that's shot much better. So we're in the process of that. But Trevor, back in the day for Collectors, had left back to Canada, and then we're just from time to time reach out to each other. So I will hop on that sci-fi train again, but this one is in development along with Star Wars in Post and my Brock Talk Pokemon fandom channel that's being developed right now as well with my wife and I. So those are the three main hitters right now. Plus, movies on the table that I've agreed to do. But now we have to wait for them to say we got the money.
Right. That's
We're ready to shoot. So yeah, there's all that.
a busy man, that's for sure.
I'm trying to be. It's trust me, it's harder than one thinks. It's like you're busy inside, but you're not busy doing the actual filming until you are. And when that happens, it's quick.
It's
So
quick.
it's
It
quick, man.
consumes
You
your
know how it
life,
is.
but it's quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and that's an interesting thing too. I've learned doing this because I finished my first narrative short film. It's a psychological thriller about a vintage cursed camera.
Great,
Something for the
cool.
kids now.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
And then,
Congrats.
thank you. Yeah, but then I'm also doing this full feature documentary, and it's interesting. It's like when you get, I think by the time I get to post production, you're like,
Mm,
I should be spinning the next plate, getting the next project going. Otherwise, you get that
yeah,
lull, and as you said, it takes time for things to actually go.
it's
So is
true.
that so? You always have something in the pipeline
Yeah,
developing,
I
or
no, you're. It's a great study, Tom. Very good. So when I did Star Wars, before we even shot it, it was 4 years of writing, discussing production design, building things, and then getting permits to shoot in places and all this. And we shot this 20-minute sequence. But I would say halfway through production, or just before, forgive me, just before production started, before we took the car and truck and drove out to where we shot, I started developing the next project. And now it's carried so much consistency and weight that when this one's done, I can just hop onto it and it's already, you hit the ground running, so to speak. But also, if you want to have a YouTube channel that is based on a fandom of some kind, you need content. You need to
Mhm.
be able to intercut lots of random stuff if you need to for copyright reasons and whatever the things, but creatively, built. So you do all that just to have it in the digital freezer. Say, oh no, I have a shot like that. Pull that out. Oh no, I have a shot like that. Pull that out. Yeah, because we've been shooting for 2 years. Just random stuff, random locations. Whenever I do a movie, my wife usually travels with me, and we put on the Brock Talk wardrobe and go out, and people are like, I know. They know the character, but they don't know the character. That some don't, and we shoot in like the redwoods, in icy areas, underwater, beaches, tropical,
Oh,
different settings, deserts, dunes, sand dunes. Urban, suburban areas. We do it all based on what it looks like in that universe, with the type of filters we have on our camera and stuff and all that, and all that's been done simultaneously to post production with Star Wars. So that way, when I start actually posting stuff and recording stuff on the podcast desk in my studio downstairs, I have the content to intercut with. So, word of advice to filmmakers out there: yeah, I know it's ambitious. Have two projects or three in the pipeline. The spirit is endless pipeline of creativity. Don't put a dam in it. Let it flow. Put
yeah.
like make the pipeline smaller in a linear fashion where the water flows the same direction of the pipeline, just in its own compartment.
Right,
So you can segregate.
and, and and
Need my analogies.
and how do you approach, let's say, like an action film? Because I think it's an interesting concept. Whether you're reading a script or writing a script,
Sure.
let's say the genre of action film. How are you approaching that? I would imagine you're not approaching it as, all right, here's an action film and we have to have these action beats. Of course, that's part of it. I would imagine, just knowing you and talking with you, you're actually more importantly and deeper, you're actually approaching it with storytelling
Yeah.
and the story concepts. Maybe
Yeah.
kind of going how you approach writing and or reading a script with, let's say, again, the genre of an action film. But it's, I would imagine that's how you look at things, a story.
Yeah, yes. I mean, everything is a story. Even the everything should have a story. I should say that. Some don't, but everything should. Story is important. Story is the reason why you leave the theater feeling good, or after the movie's done. The reason why you don't want it to end. Story is the reason why you gives you hope after you watch a movie, and then you go home and you change your complete outlook on life. That's good storytelling. I approach a script. I read the character. I try to I like to embellish myself in the role to a point where I turn off everything else. And granted, people might ask, well, how do you do that if you have to have projects in the pipeline one after the other? Well, when you're devoting yourself to a role, I think to make the story better, it is our job as actors to enhance what's on the paper, and it is the director's job to enhance what's on the paper, whether he wrote it or not, or she wrote it or not, doesn't matter. So how I approach it is Pretty much just how it comes to me. I mean, I
Hmm.
read it, and my own experiences, relatability factors, kind of just naturally fill the pockets and voids. And based on how it's written, then I can go, oh, yeah, no, but he or she wouldn't do it like this. Okay, so I would approach it like this. What feels good, and then on set, my background is improvisation, so I like to improv, and a lot of actors are not used to that. Like on the last movie with Bren Foster on Mexicali, I improv a lot and a lot of stuff, and they cut me out a lot. They cut me out like I think somewhere between like I think it's 48 or 50%, whatever. I did a
Oh
little
wow.
calculation. There's a lot, and now I'm slowly releasing the outtakes on Instagram and on YouTube. And so I just want, the world to see kind of the character that Ruthie was. It's not about, hey, they cut out my acting, although I was very upset and disappointed, more sad than anything,
Hmm.
because you work so hard on something and then some guy in an editing room who maybe doesn't understand story, God bless him or her, says, no, I have a crush on this guy, so I'm going to make this guy look bad. Or I have a crush on the guy I'm going to make look bad because he's not, or maybe because that happens. Or maybe I am going to, I was told to do this way. So it's unfortunate. That's like
Hmm.
a very important pillar of the process of making a movie can destroy it. So as an actor, when you go into a role, you must make sure that no matter how much they butcher your role, if you have the sixth sense that they might, you must always do your best to make your character succumb to what the story says. Even if
Hmm.
it's a machismo moment, doesn't matter. If your character needs to be belittled, he needs to be belittled, or
Hmm.
she needs to be belittled. It's very important for arc, believability,
Yeah.
because people aren't stupid. When they watch the movie, they'll
Yes.
say, that girl or that guy is so talented. Why did they fight again? Why wasn't what's his purpose there? There's a lot of nothing. And I've been, a lot of reviews, people said there's a lot of nothing in my character. And there's a lot of nothing. There used to be stuff, but it was taken out and the fights were,
The audience
watered
could tell it's
down,
being pulled back. I mean,
being pulled back. And there was a lot of improv, and improv, you downshift and your RPMs go really high and you start to scare people on set. But you do it because it makes sense, not because it is a machismo, ego-driven piece of acting. That's where your demo reel. Or if it's in the movie, then it's in the movie. Like with Daniel Day-Lewis, I love.
hmm.
He's my favorite actor. One of my favorite movies is obviously There Will Be Blood
Oh
and The
man.
Boxer. Both fantastic movies. Gangs of New York, of course, but There Will Be Blood has something more to it. And There Will Be Blood took 5 years to make. He was loyal to Paul Thomas Anderson, who was a brilliant director, one of my top three favorites. And Daniel improvs most of the time, really does. And from what I understand,
Hmm.
and I can see it as an actor, you can see it and feel it, but he knows his character so well that the improvisations always follow the fluidity of what needs to be pursued. And so with Mexicali, Ruthie was this very, like Luc Lafontaine told me he had a big backstory. He wanted to do side scenes of his life. I was like, this is great. Didn't happen. No problem. It's the business. But he told me these things and I implied them into the character. And then that came out. But then they cut you. So it's like, why tell me these things? But it's, da, 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 da.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and I had a fever on set of like 100 degrees for like 4 days. I was like
Oh
destroyed. It was
jeez.
12-day shoot, 4 or 5 days, I think it was. Yeah, it was a hard shoot,
That's
man.
brutal.
And very brutal because AC cold, AC hot, AC hot, AC hot. And then, yeah, anyway, makeup. And then you're sitting for hours, you get sick. But I was there every morning on set, 5 in the morning, and then all the way to like 7, 8 p.m. sometimes. We were, shooting. A lot of waiting, a lot of screaming and kicking and running around and stuff. But it was fun. It was a fun movie. I was so honored to be a part of it. Jesse Johnson's great.
Hmm.
Um, Tanya is an amazing actress. She's great. Brent's a fantastic guy. Very, very great to work with. Very down to earth guy. Everybody did a wonderful job, and I'm just I just wish it was what Luke had pitched us in the beginning. But it is what it is. So
It's hard, first of all, it's amazing a project or film gets finished at all because there's so much that can make that happen. And you know what? You
yeah,
touched a little earlier on this.
yeah,
It is the film business at the end of the day. Otherwise, we're just
mhm,
all, even fan films, right? You're spending time, money, effort, energy. It is a
yeah.
film business. So, how is that approaching? Because you got to go from okay, we need to get funding to make the movie, of course. We need to get a buyer, and we need to get distribution. There's more than one path, I suppose, to get there.
Mhm.
But like when you're making your projects, how are you navigating that?
So there's a lot of moments of hopelessness where
Mm.
you just think you're not going to get this made, but it's not. It's just that's part of the process. You have to understand that. The biggest thing when it comes to navigating the film industry is not navigating the film industry. And I
Mm.
know that sounds strange. Navigating the film industry is staying consistent with your dream and vision, no matter what. And so when you do that, you get to a point where you fall in love with your bubble, your realm that you're creating, giving to the world, and you're the purest version of yourself again. And you apply that to your purpose and process as a filmmaker, and here you are, all of a sudden blessed with life, first of all, and with what life throws at you, which is an opportunity. Someone who is like-minded crosses your path by coincidence, destiny. I believe in destiny, and your film gets that much further down the line. Eventually, it will get made, and then there's the point when you really don't find that opportunity, because there are those moments, and you just have to take that risk that you believe in. If not, you're insulting yourself. And you have to put the money and time and effort, space into that project. Because if you believe in it and your spirit believes in it, I guarantee you that the world will admire it. At least a big part of it. Even if it's a small part of it, you made that happen. And that is very important, because if you don't give yourself that chance to breathe like that, then you might as well work at a checkout counter or a fast food restaurant. We've all done that. I've done that.
Yeah.
I've done that. I have no shame saying that. I worked many normal jobs, and people would say, "Why? You're the son of Jean Claude Van Damme."
Right.
Well, because I choose to, because I thought that was better for me at the time. But I pushed myself to to see what that path brought me, and it wasn't for me. So deviation, back on track, and you just get to this process. So navigating the film industry is navigating yourself and knowing how to pitch a project, and knowing how to love a project and love your vision throughout this process of pitching and loving the project and rewriting it if you have to, and taking risks and sacrifices. So yeah, there's no one business plan. There is an ideology of approach. You need a buyer, you need a distribution deal,
Right.
you need a star, you need all this stuff. LOIs, I'm going to do it, I need money. But if you take all that away, all that nonsense, and you sit in a room and you're emotionally naked with Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise, or it doesn't matter who they are, me, right now, us, let's put us in the context. Why not? We're here. You grow as people and you understand that much more. And then when the podcast is over, you say, huh, that's a different approach. Maybe I never thought of. Maybe I did and I wasn't sure I should talk about it. But now someone else of that caliber understands me. And they're not better than I am. They just happen to be in the industry more than me. And they're telling me the same thing I'm feeling. That must mean I'm built for this. Yeah, you can be. Absolutely.
Right.
So it's really just a relatability factor. Look, Oblivion, the movie Oblivion. I was speaking with Barry Levine
Mm.
a long time ago. This is like, well, not a long time, maybe like 4 years ago, maybe longer. Anyway, Barry Levine was I think the music producer on Street Fighter, my father's movie. Not my favorite of my father's films, but regardless, Barry Levine's a really cool guy, big in the industry, producer, music producer, I believe, film producer, director, I believe. Anyway, Barry tells me when he pitched the movie Oblivion to Tom Cruise, he gave it to his agent, and it was literally a 10-page pamphlet of a lookbook.
Oh.
And Tom probably gets all these scripts and has to read them, and probably doesn't want to read them, and probably just wants to ride his motorcycle and
Right.
jump out of planes and do
Yeah.
Tom Cruise stuff, which is awesome. God bless him. And he opens this book, he said, and he goes, "What's that? There's a motorcycle. There's what? This is. I want to do this movie." And it was a pamphlet. So like-minded folk, relatability. Books with pictures are cool. You don't need the text. Different minds, different folks, different strokes, but the approach to being a filmmaker, a creative mind, is that pure essence of that's the final image. We have to get there, and it sucks that there's so many hurdles, but
Mm.
that's just the way it is.
I also think some people never take the swing. They've been doing acting like you. You were acting a long time. You're like, there's a story that's not being told that I would like to tell, and then boom, I'm going to write this out. I was going to ask you too, whether it's you writing your own script or you're presented some projects. I think it's very important actors have this. Some people think about this as my career path and I want a certain image. How do you approach what projects to choose? Because this is eating up years of your life per project. So how do you like to approach this is the right project for me to spend all this time and effort and these hurdles to jump over?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. I mean, if you have a lot to choose from, great in the first place. I've had moments where I've had multiple projects to be able to choose from, and I'm humbled by that. Usually it's the projects that carry characterial weight as an actor. I like to explore a character from A to Z and understand why he is the way he is and what's his arc and who he becomes. And then to even, if possible, if you have that luxury, make it more of your thing, which you can do on set, but at the same time, it's good to preempt things. Like, for example, I had a TV show in Bulgaria 3 years ago almost now. It was a big TV show. We shot almost 2 seasons. It was called Franklin. It's on IMDb. Still on IMDb. It says in development, I think. But we never finished it. It got canceled. And it was, I think, 40 something actors and crew members were not paid. So, including me. So,
Man.
yeah, and we didn't have, nobody had pay or play deals, and we should have. But at that time, I had no agent. And they wanted to just have me, no negotiations, this price. The money was decent. So I said, okay. But it wasn't just about that. It was about, this is a character. And so when I read the character, I saw so much potential. So much potential. That when I was there shooting, I started to hint and negotiate to some degree on rewriting my character into the second season, in which the producers and showrunners said, "We like what you're doing. We agree," because they saw some acting. It was beautiful. It was a 1930s gangster piece. Take place in Mexico City, Bulgaria, Mexico City.
Yeah.
Trust me, it looks like it. We had 1930s cars. It was a big production. The money somehow was either laundered or wasted. I don't know what. Every week there were 2 or 3 big cast dinners that must have cost $3,000 a pop. Like, it was just insane production quality. And my wife was with me. We were there for 7 months of our life. And when it got canceled, everybody was so depressed. They went their separate ways. We're all in a group chat still, the actors, all like 30 something actors. I stayed there with a friend of mine. He's a director friend of mine. His name is Martin Makariev. He's a great director. They call him the Oliver Stone of the Balkan regions. He's amazing. And we wrote a script, a Western, together from my father, my sister, my brother, and myself, called The Stagecoach Queen. And we were going to do this next because I had to find something to do while we were kind of in limbo. It was a beautiful piece, man. Anyway, that whole dilemma happened. And to go back to what your question was, the approach to that character was so deep and so beautiful. I had 3 months of character development to myself. So I would, be this character before, come from a method background. So I would be this character every day before flying there. And then practically living on the sets, and walking around and I'm away from my wife for 12 hours and she's on set, drinking her cater coffee, waiting for me to come back to my trailer. And I'm somewhere else doing whatever my character was doing. She'd find me with my suspender and a real rolled up sleeve with the high pants, smoking cigarettes in a warehouse somewhere, literally like, giving me a ham sandwich and then running away quietly. The development of that character was great. My approach was, I just loved the time I had. I loved the essence of giving me the freedom to explore that, because for an actor, when you have time to explore your character, man, it's like the best. It's like a director who gets given 30 days these days to make a movie, not 12.
That's a great response.
Yeah, sorry for deviating. I do.
No, I love it. That's what it's all about. We want, like, the way you're thinking and process.
There's just so much, yeah.
Another thing I was going to ask you is sort of a blanket question, if you will. You've been working in this industry long enough, obviously, and also growing up around it with your father. How do you deal in this industry with failure, loss, highs and lows? How do you deal with that? Whether it's advice I hear is like, people are like, hey, never look online at comments, don't read reviews, stay away from, but you can't help but hear whatever. And also that thing, this is precious to me. that put my heart and soul into this, because that's why I was attracted to this project to get go. And it comes out and people shit all over it.
Okay.
How are you deal with that? There's one thing they have, obviously, tough skin or whatever, but it's also another to like, oh, that's that, and move on to the next thing. I want to hear how you do that. Some people get very stoic about it. Some people like put blinders on. How do you deal with that?
If people don't like your project, you're doing something right.
There you
I was told that once, and I said, yeah, they're probably just envious that you got something off the ground. So good for you. I know my worth. I've known it more over the. I don't say worth as in a value monetary system. I say worth as in a presence
Hmm.
and not with an ego, just with a very honest and humble pride. I know my value in terms of what I can give to the world because I surf on that emotional bandwidth, that frequency, that's high octane emotional value. Some people don't surf on that because they don't introspect to themselves enough. So they're just consumers. They just sit, sorry for the language, fuck, shit, eat, sleep, andubla oblongata, right? The
Yeah.
alligator, the crocodile, right? And God bless them. They have the chance to change that. They want to. But for whatever reason, some people don't. Some people just don't. Here's a good example. This may be a strange example, but for
Hmm.
those who understand will understand. When I do a Facebook Marketplace ad, I make sure the pictures are nice. I don't just take a picture of it with my sandals and toes in the background, and it's like, here you go, and I'm asking $100. So that sensitivity bracket of the details and how you do things in life and how you perceive things, and it's not like, oh, he calculates the way he dresses. I mean,
You're.
I'm wearing a Onyx t-shirt,
Yeah.
long sleeve shirt my sister made for me. It's not that. It's understanding what works in terms of an evolved way of communication. So you can give opinions. Everybody has opinions. The right to express your opinion
Hmm.
is perfectly normal and free. I mean, if they don't like my film or your film, okay, that's no problem.
Right.
They don't like it. If they think it could be better, yeah, it could be. But this is what I could do with what I have. And I hope you can maybe see 1% of that. So everybody has an opinion. This is a good one. A friend, not a friend, but I consider him to be a friend. But it's like someone I follow on YouTube a lot. He says everybody has an opinion. They're like armpits. Some of them stink,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
It's funny. It's like a Shel Silverstein poem.
Yeah.
But they don't define my existence, and they weren't there with me when I cried on the floor and bled on the ground, sweat in the territory of making this project, taking the loan out to make this project. They weren't there with me. You had the cojones to make that project. They didn't. I had the cojones to make that project. They didn't. And that's the max ego you'll get out of it right there. But it means something because
Mhm.
you at least are moving up in your life to what you believe is your
Right.
purpose and you're following that. And that's brilliant, dude. That's everything. That's what life is about. That's money. You don't get buried with money. You don't get buried with comments. You don't get buried with jewelry. You get buried with what you left, what you define, what you stamped on this planet. My father will forever be a legend. And my goal is not to be a legend, it's just to do what I love. And if that makes me legendary status, great. And if it doesn't, I'm equally fine. It's again, legendary status is based on the opinions of others. And my father will keep saying, you know, it was the right place and the right time. And he's humble about it. But I love imitating my
That was
father.
a good
So I,
imitation.
I love him so much. I love him so much. I love imitating him.
Boy, deep
People,
fake, deep fake for a second.
no, oh gosh, no, no. Yeah, I was actually reached out. I was reached out to by a producer contact I know who is the one who introduced me to Barry Levine a while
Hmm.
back. But he apparently wants to make a movie about Kuroko pictures from the '80s
Oh,
and have a scene where my father, played by me, is
that's a
and
phenomenal idea.
yeah, he's like, "What do you think?" I said, "I need to talk to my dad." So I called my dad and I said, "What do you think?" And he's like, really like he was first taken back, like, is this really? I'm like, Dad, you understand that you're a legend and you begged for the role of Bloodsport. You didn't just throw kicks and do splits in a
Yeah.
room. You went on your knees and begged and cried in front of this producer, in front of your friend. Like, just please give me one chance. And, I believe in faith, life, universe, God, deity, whatever
Yeah.
you want to call it, saw that, felt that, and said, okay. Because
Wow.
that producer, and I go back to what I said before, on a relatability human platform, felt what my father delivered. That's why I say, when you do something right on YouTube or you have a film,
Hmm.
people don't like it, it's because they're insecure about maybe themselves and they can't relate to it, so they're gonna fucking troll you.
Right.
And but the magic is the relatability
Yeah.
of, oh, this is good, I'm scared of it, or this is good, I love it. The people who say this is good, I love it, are more confident people with themselves because they're able to allow someone else's success entertain them and give them joy.
Hmm.
The people who are not happy with themselves tend to hermit themselves and just be trolls, and I feel bad for those people because maybe they're brilliant and they're misunderstood. So maybe the people out there that are hurt, that are talking shit about your film or my film, maybe they will, are people that just need help, So at the end of the day, all that doesn't matter, guys. Just do your movie, write your book, plant your garden, whatever. If
Yeah.
it speaks to you, someone will engage.
I love that. That's fantastic. My martial art background is Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And
Cool.
Elio Gracie, this is like a major staple, like quote of his is there's no winning and losing, there's winning and learning.
Yeah.
And because that's the right attitude, even if the movie sucks, most people I talk to, they're like, your first film's going to suck, the second one's going to suck. It's going to get better as you go. Or even my film turned out for a first film, I learned 4 years of film school in 6 months, and I did
Wow, nice, dude. Good for you.
thank you. I learned every aspect, and I go, but at the beginning first shot to the last shot, I'm like, okay, this is not the filmmaker I know I want to be yet, but it's the filmmaker I am right now, and it's just this process. I'm just enjoying that ride, and it's the love of it.
You constantly learn, man. And I'm going to learn from you. You're going to learn from me. We're going to learn from other people. They're going to learn from us. I learned from my dog how to be better.
Right.
We always learn. It's like coming to earth is like, I guess in this embodiment, this flesh and meat bag vessel that we are, it's to kind of recalibrate and understand, maybe to
Mm.
be greater or closer to purpose. I think maybe, but that's a whole different topic. The thing is if you can connect to it and you love it, man, I mean, you have to be ready to keep learning, but you're gonna want to learn. You're gonna lust the need of doing this more and more, and you should, because that's how you're gonna get better. Like, I look at this, Brock Talk channel I'm putting together.
Hmm.
I look at the very first shots and I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to vomit. I'm like, what? No, delete everything. And my wife was like, what? I'm like, no, it's not the character. It's not it. Now look at that shot into the last
Right.
shot we did last week, the last shooting session we did. And you're like, oh my God, wow, what an evolution in a year's time. Imagine in 10. So it's the same thing with directing or writing. You become better at it. The more you do something, the better you become. Simple. Like with everything, like riding a bike.
Yes, very much so. And you brought it up enough times too. Did you want to go into the channel you're working on a bit more, like more straightforward?
Yeah, sure. Brock Talk is a Pokemon-based channel, and it's about a character named Brock. Many people know about him. He's one of the companions that travels with Ash, but more importantly, in the original anime and some of the mangas, the most important aspect of Brock Talk is the fact that it's kind of a Disney and Star Wars thing for me with Pokemon. They
Hmm.
in the anime, they really watered down, no pun intended, because he's a rock type specialist who's,
Oh,
super effective under and weak against water, right? And so that's why I used the pun. But they watered him down and made him such a kind of a pushover character, and deep down inside he's not. He's actually one of the strongest characters in the series because of the family he has to take care of and everything. And I've done multiple podcasts recently where I explain how similar my life as a kid was to Brock, and
interesting. Go. How so?
yeah, it's not just me liking this character. I want to play him, and a moment.
Yeah.
I kind of look like him too to some degree. That's very important also. But and do the Eric Stewart voice or the you can do the Bill Rogers voice as well, or keep it Eric Stewart, Ash. Anyway, I have to do
That
those.
on. That's great.
I don't want, I don't want to do it
That's
in
an
front of you.
exclusive, folks.
It's an exclusive. You'd be like, ah. And so basically, as a kid, I was the number 5 is a big thing with me. So when I was 5 years old and I was reading Pokemon mangas, and I was watching the anime series. It started to like come out from Japan to the States and all this, and I'm watching this series, and my father brings me a gift. It was my birthday that day, and all his friends were there, and I happened to be watching the 5th episode. I was turning 6. Happened to be watching the 5th episode of the original manga, which was Showdown in Pewter City, the episode where Ash meets Brock. And my father brought me a gift, and he opened it up, and it's a statue of Yoda, which I still have. The ears are all fucked up and broken because of storage and years of moving, but I still have it. It's like my shrine with my onyx shrine and my one teddy bear I've had since 5 as well. So I'm sitting down watching this Pokemon episode. My dad does this, and my father looks at the screen and he goes, "Wow, that snake of stone is so cool." And that's Onyx, Brock's Pokemon. And he says to me, he goes, "I think this character is special for you." And not because of that. I've always loved it before he even said that. Now, we threw a birthday party 3 days later at a local trading card shop. My mother rented out the space and all that. Oh no, sorry. What am I saying? 3 or 4 years later, excuse me. Had a birthday party. My father and my mom were divorced this time, so he came to visit for my birthday, which was one of those times, one of those core memories I told you about earlier. He sat down with me. In the first Pokemon series, there's 151 Pokemon, 152 really, but really 151. I said, "Dad, which out of all these do you like?" You'd ask your dad that question as a kid, right? And he chooses each one of Brock's father's Pokemon without knowing Brock's father, without ever following the anime. He never followed. He saw it once in his life, probably, which was that one time when I was 5. And then, so I was like, as a kid, I was like, okay, I have to start doing something about this at that moment. And I was turning at that point 13 or 12. And I've been a fan ever since. And so, ironically, one of the Pokemon he chose happened to be a specific Pokemon that Brock has in the card games, not in the anime, which also is out of 151, dude, it's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Now, flash forward, I'm doing more research as YouTube comes out, internet comes out, and I realized that when they started building the franchise, before the anime came out, there was a TCG, trading card game, video game for the old school Game Boy. And there was, different sectors of people, like they all represented an element, like they do in the game, but it wasn't with actual Pokemon, it was with cards, like Yu-Gi-Oh! This is before the Pokeballs and everything.
Yeah.
And so the rock club leader was named Gene, and my grandfather's name is Eugene, and they placed it in the same place that Brock is in the series. And I'm like, wait a minute, is that Brock's grandfather? Or maybe it was once supposed to be Brock, and then they cross-hybrided designs. But the fact that he looks just like my grandfather, sitting in a wheat field, like I have a picture here of my grandfather sitting in a wheat field on a chair. The only difference is the guy is wearing a kimono and has a piece of wheat like a samurai from Akira Kurosawa, and my grandfather doesn't. So it's like Gene, Eugene, that stuff, and there's so many more things, which I'll tell you now, but I'll keep it compact. Solid like a rock.
Yeah, there you go.
My
in character.
Always. Well, I have to do the thing again.
Yeah.
But my mother, I'll do it for you. Always in character. Anyway,
I'm gonna punch in on that each time too.
You should. You totally should, and you should keep that part of you saying that too. My mother. So Brock's mother in the series, her name is Lola. Lola is the name of my father's Chihuahua, and we had a dog named Flint that I named Flint, just like that, and happens to be Brock's father's name as well. But I didn't do that in honor of him. So my Lola in the anime is a painter, a floral painter, and my mom's a floral painter, oil and acrylic, and now watercolor. It's crazy how
parallels are like
it's insane. And so as a method actor, I'm like, oh, so what I did, it's like the universe is giving me, and I've always been attracted to rocks. I wanted to be a geologist when I was young. I climbed mountains, I did rock climbing, I love stone, and so I trained my body really hard like Brock, sorry. I did a lot of body weight training. I do body weight training. I've gotten very, very dense and lean and thinner, but very much like the character to stay within that world. And I'm devoting the next 10 or 15 years of my life to this character. Basically, what the channel is about, it's about Brock returning home to Pewter City, and he is he's revisiting his purpose in life. And he's done so much. He was once the gym leader. He took care of 9 brothers and sisters, which my wife has 9 cousins, and they all look like Brock's brothers and sisters. So I'm going to do a photo shoot with
Oh
them
wow.
eventually. So it's all like cross universe stuff. But anyway, he comes back home and he realizes he has to take back over the gym and follow in his family's legacy. And ironically, my street here is Legacy Drive. So it's like all this stuff. And the house we live in looks just like the house he lives in the anime, except
Wow.
slightly larger. And the gym in the anime is a triangular steel beam
Mm.
skeleton that holds a facade of boulders with a warehouse attached to it. The community center in the city I live in has triangular steel beams, and it's all brick stone right behind it. So that's his gym, what we're shooting. So everything is like, well, it was always here since forever, for me at least. So basically, it's about introspection, and I'm going to go over every episode where they're inconsistent with the writing and create my own lore that I've already created based on lore that exists and lore that's been unfinished, and tie the circle in together. For example, there's an evolution of Steelix I'm creating based on a very small snippet from a game called Pokemon Fire Red. It's a deep dive of Brock's life, and I know this is a long segment of the interview, but it's
Oh, it's
it's
great.
uh, it's a big one, and it's basically talking about who he is, where he comes from, what his purpose is, and how he handles life as an older man now, because I'm 39. And my photo shoots, we're editing them to make me look younger. No AI, it's all practical. And then we're slowly evolving him. So bearded Brock, different wardrobes in the same color palette, wardrobes from the mangas, from the animes, from all the theory stuff, and in my own design based on that. I have 2 sets downstairs: the Pewter City Museum of Science Laboratory, where Brock helps out fossil research, and also the desk of the upstairs segment of the Pewter City Gym. There's like 2 balcony railings, and I basically built a little corner that looks just like the upstairs moment. So when you're looking back out, you see the gym below and everything. So
Beautiful.
it's a, yeah, in a nutshell, that's kind of the and there'll be heartbreaks and stories and music. And my wife's a pianist, and she looks just like a love interest of Brock. So we're gonna do a thing with her. Her character happens to have an evolution of Onyx as well, which is just crazy. It's insane how all these parallel universes have intersected in this life awareness of mine. But I believe, Tom, that this is my purpose as an actor right now in this life. So any movie that comes my way was just gonna finance this. Just gonna finance
That's
this.
a beautiful thing. Based off of what we've been talking about so far,
Yeah,
like you had
sure.
those 10 moments with your dad, for example. Like I
Yeah,
bond with my dad over music and over
beautiful.
movies. That's that connection. But then there's things that really don't fucking connect, right?
Sure.
And but that love's there. And I hope this doesn't upset you asking this, but
No, no, not at all.
because your dad was so busy and not having him around, you had those. You said these like 10 moments.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, you guys connected and bonded through movies and filmmaking, and maybe perhaps did that also have something to do with the decision making that a career that connected you? But what
Mm.
kind of solved that question for me? I'm sure that's part of it,
Yeah, yeah.
but just hearing what you said there, this project,
Mm.
this not project, this passion of
Yeah.
this Pokemon YouTube channel of how
I wish I owned the franchise so I could
it,
control it more.
interlace like all your family in there and just how it naturally picks that. I mean, that's very profound.
Thank you, man. And it's not me. I mean, it's life. Life did it, and I'm just aware of it, I guess. And I really believe this is it. I really believe this is it. So I'm gonna pursue it. But not having my father around was tough because as a kid, not knowing life as much as an adult would, with the experiences and all, you
Mm-hmm.
tend to judge right away to the things you know. Mom gives me love, dad doesn't. I hate dad. But when you get in the perspective of, well, dad pays for this house, and dad pays for the food in the fridge, my mom would tell me this, and dad's out there working and fighting and making sure that we're okay and safe. And it gave me a different perspective. And she told me dad's kind of like Anakin Skywalker in that sense before he turned to Darth Vader, you know? And Palpatine, I guess, would be the industry,
Interesting
people that he
analogy.
would, you know. And so she used these things that connected with me as a mom. My mother's an amazing human being. And my father knows this and is very lucky to have a woman like that, and also to have that be the mother of his kids. He can sleep at night, because my sister and I and my brother from another marriage, God bless him, he's living in Oregon now with his wife and beautiful baby girl Ava, God bless them all. But my brother connected with my mom on such a level as well. When he came to us at 18, 19, he started to like reach out and talk to us again. And even in the earlier years, he was so connected to her. He had bad asthma as a child, so she would for hours lull him to sleep, take care of him like as if he was her own. And my mom had a lot of connection to all the kids in her life, but she's such a devotee of energy that she leaves nothing for herself, and now we're giving back to her because we have this place we live in all together, and we basically contribute. I have my side of the house. I do my thing here, pay my bills here. Bianca has hers, does her thing there. Mom has hers, does her thing there. But we're together as a family because before we were kind of segregated, where my mother lived alone in an apartment. My sister had her place in New York City.
Okay. Yeah.
I was here. We had this house that no one was in. And it's like, let's just be together and see, and Dad has been more involved, which has been good. And, I try to keep a balance the best I can without overstepping toes, because everybody's got their reasons. But not having, as a kid, Dad there for a while was very tough. I had my grandfather. My grandfather and I are super close. My grandfather is now turning 92 on June 8th, so in 3 days he'll be 92. Big, strong guy, 6'4", white hair, blue eyes, in shape, got abs, got chest, amazing titan of a man. My grandmother passed away 2 years ago, a day after my brother's birthday. And she was one of my best friends, my father's best friend. He was so close to his mom. I would go out drinking with my grandma beer in Belgium. It's like a normal thing to do. And when I did before I tackled my Star Wars projects like 6 years ago, she told me, and I'm dedicating the project to her. She told me, Kris, because I told her about this project, and she was so into it. You have to finish this project. And I was worried, like what you were talking about, comments and people, they'll make fun of me, the Star Wars, and now I can't even pay for it. So she said, Kris, you have to do this. Because if you don't do it, you're going to regret it the rest of your life. And trust me, there's nothing worse than being too old to walk and regret something. It is the worst combination. Wow. It's worse than being deaf. And I was like, holy shit. I don't want to be deaf or those other things. And she's like, then take care of your health and do the freaking project. So we bought one last round and we drank together, and then I put her on her wheelchair and we did power wheelies the whole way home on the, we call it the Deek. It's the boardwalk in Belgium during sunset. So I have this video of her putting on a Star Wars hoodie, and she's completely drunk. And she's like, dun, dun, da, 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 and I'm behind camera going, da, 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 da. And she pulls down the hoodie and it says Star Wars. And there's a big sunset, just like the two binary sunsets on Tatooine, and I dedicate at the very end to her. So yeah, but she was amazing. 89 when she passed, turning 90.
Sorry to hear
and
that.
she it declined quick for her. She had dementia for like only a year and a half, and it was really bad. Why I'm saying this is because my grandparents practically raised me for a large majority of my life, and I grew up in Belgium for a period of my life. For a lot of periods of my life, and I saw the world, and I put things in perspective from what people taught me, family members taught me, and I'm very, very grateful for all of that, and I try to apply it into my work the best I can.
And that also, what she said really stuck with you the whole way. I mean, you don't need to have that personal, like, life threat to that moment where, I should do this. It's like, no, I'm telling you from the future. Yes. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Methods of Fiction. To hear more insights from filmmaking and entertainment industry professionals, subscribe to our video podcast on YouTube. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, be sure to follow us there as well. We look forward to having you join us again on the next episode.